good morning. Good morning, Eleanor. Lovely to see you again and welcome. So we're in Trevor the motorhome now. Yep, I'm actually sat on the car park of York Racecourse because I go to all the most glamorous places in the world. And that is because my fiance is working here today. He's the food safety manager for York Racecourse. So he goes around with his little clipboard and makes sure that people don't, do anything wrong with the food, like food poisoning and allergens. Actually, is huge. That's a huge part of what he does. But just as he was leaving just now, he kind of shut. You have to shut the door quite firmly. And I wasn't slamming it. He just shut it really firmly. And a plastic container came flying out of a cupboard that had been left open. So it's all been exciting. But we're here now. I'm here. It is lovely here, actually. Last time I was here, there's a field I'll show you the field. You get to see it. It's lovely. It's just like a lovely field there. And last time I was here, I was just watching the bunnies, watching the rabbits. Oh, it's gone all dark now, hasn't it? Because it's trying to adjust the fact. There we go. Because it went, oh, it's all bright now. Let's turn the light down. Because it does that very magically, actually. Does your computer camera thing. So today we're going to explore forgiveness. And I've actually written a few things down about this today. I'm trying to just be less waffly. I know some of you enjoy my waffle, but I'm trying to be a bit less waffly. And I had a very exciting email on my way here. Just had a quick look at my email on my phone, and my next course comes out tomorrow morning, early doors, 5 a.m. or something. So that's really good because I only submitted it on Monday. So they're getting really fast at getting my stuff out there. And it really is for anybody who's new to this. It's for everybody, because I listen to things that are for new people all the time, and I always hear something different. I'm reading a lovely book at the moment, of which I will not remember the title, because I couldn't remember the title of the book. And it's a very foundational 3 principles book. Well, more non-duality actually, and it's absolutely lovely. And I'm hearing stuff in it that I haven't really heard it that way before. So I think that's the joy, and that's the joy of this exploration, is there's always more to see, but not in the way that we often get caught up in self-help, which is there's more to fix. It's really the very opposite of that. It's not about trying to fix ourselves. It's about just keeping on looking in this direction, looking towards how our experience is being created, looking towards the truth of our own innate well-being, and that is always there, and it is unshakable and unbreakable, and just enjoying the learning. Like for me, it's just, there's a person talking in a really interesting way about people, and they're telling stories, and like I do when I listen to podcasts and things about 3 principles. I just enjoy it. It's just such a lovely experience. So yeah, keep listening, keep coming, and you do, lots of you. So we're slowly coming in this morning. So say good morning to me. Got Eleanor here, Carrie. I don't know if you stayed or went because I wasn't loading. I came and sat down and then just went, oh, I best just go for a wee. Stop. Is that oversharing? But when you just think, am I going to last an hour? And it's just going to be about an hour today because I'm going for a coffee with a lovely lady who I met online in a business networking sense. And I'm going to go meet with her in a bit. So I will be finishing pretty much on just after 9 so that I can walk and meet this lovely lady, because it says on my phone it's going to take about half an hour to walk there. So I'm just I'll tell you a little bit about me. Do let me know if you're new here or you're a regular and you've been in before. I'm coming in quite slow this morning, so I'm trying to just waffle for a little bit to make sure that people who want to come in can get in before I start the full. I can see a few more little icons appearing at the bottom. It's all very strange, and I wish I knew how it works, because it says 8 meditators are here, but then there's only 4 little heads bobbing around at the bottom. and I don't really understand. I don't understand. I think I'm one of the meditators. But yeah, I should say 8 learners are here for mine, shouldn't it? But I'm sure we're all meditators as well as being here learning. So a little bit about me. I burnt out in 2015 when I was working in primary education in the UK, and I was so stressed that I had no idea I was burning out until, well, I didn't really know I'd burnt out till quite a while afterwards, because I was told I had depression, because the NHS don't really recognise burnout or really understand very much about it. So I did suffer quite a bit, really, before I realised that I didn't have depression at all, and that I was actually in burnout, which is very different. Feels very similar, I think, and has very similar symptoms. That's so interesting. I'm just thinking about that in terms of how people are diagnosed with a mental illness is by them describing how they're feeling. And that's all part of the same, it's part of our thinking. It's the illusion that we're creating. And that's not like underplaying what it's like to have some kind of mental illness, but how interesting is it that the whole thing, how we perceive ourselves, is just so massive in terms of our lives, really, how we see ourselves. So yeah, I had adrenal burnout. I didn't work for a whole year. Couldn't go to work. Felt so poorly. But at the end of that year, I resigned and I started a business. And initially, I was a hypnotherapist, and that was my business. And I got really into self-development, or self-help, really, I would call it. Because self-development, I think I see that slightly differently now. I see that self-development is what I'm doing at the moment, which is I'm doing some training. I'm learning some new skills. I'm doing my Institute of Leadership and Management Level 5 in coaching and mentoring, and seeing more and more that I'm actually a mentor and a guide rather than a coach, really. I use coaching skills in what I do, and questioning techniques and things like that. And but really, I'm a mentor because I share my wisdom, share my stories, and teach people things as well. And that's much more aligned with mentoring. And so self-development, I think, is more that. It's more like, yeah, let's keep learning. Let's have fun doing that. Self-help feels more of that kind of trying to fix, or self-fixing. Maybe it's more that. Maybe that's actually the phrase. Maybe that is the phrase. To stop self-fixing. Because that's what it is, isn't it? That's what many of us, and I'm sure some of you here can relate to that. Do say hello in the comments. Let me know if you're familiar with trying to fix yourself and you've been doing it for a while. Me too. I got really embroiled in that, and I was doing all sorts of tools and techniques and trawling through the past and trying to find the answers and going round and round. And I was just fortunate that I'd only been doing that sort of 3.5 years when I came across the 3 principles understanding. So the 3 principles understanding is the understanding that I teach, and it's a foundational understanding of how human experience is created. And the 3 principles are thought, consciousness, and mind. And we explore in these talks, we explore the implications of the 3 principles. And really, we don't massively explore the 3 principles. So that's why I've made a foundational course that really does talk about the role of thought, consciousness, and mind in how our experience is created. And hopefully that will help people who are new to this. So if you're new, please do. Morning, Wendy. If you want to just get that kind of basics down, then that new course is out tomorrow morning. So I'm very excited about it. Very excited that I got it out before the end of the month as well. It's all done and dusted. So finding the 3 principles in January 2020 allowed me, over a very short period of time, really, to just stop seeing myself as a problem. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't still look towards bringing awareness to some things that, so I have a tendency towards criticism. We were talking about this the other day when we were talking about gratitude and things. And you know, I'm looking to bring more awareness to that, to see, but without the kind of, oh, I've got a tool or technique to do. It's just this non-judgmental awareness that I find is the best way to start to experience life differently and start to see things differently. And a lot of that is just me noticing emotionally where I am, you know, when I'm delivering some piece of criticism to Bruce, bless him, it's Bruce. And Bruce isn't here right now. He's definitely real, but he's not here right now. He's just gone to work at York Racecourse, where I'm parked up. So yeah, there is a lovely view actually, Wendy. A nice view out there. That's what I've got out my window. When we get to Aberdeen, I'll have sea out my window. Hello, lovely to see you. Nice to have you back, definitely. So please do say hi if you've not said hi yet in the comments. It's good to know if there's anybody new here as well. I can see lots of familiar people. I'm not sure if Carrie's been here before or whether Carrie's still here because I didn't load at the beginning. But yes, Eleanor, Wendy. Oh, Wendy, you were in Aberdeen in the spring. Lovely. I will be parked up on the front at Aberdeen. That's where I'll be staying, hopefully. It's like a campsite there. There's lots of people parked up there, and it's a really nice little spot. Just next to the sea. Who doesn't want to be next to the sea? I love the sea. I love being in the water. Actually, we had a waterfall near us last night where we slept, and you could hear it. It was really loud, but it was nice to hear the water. So yeah, my Aberdeen adventures start on. Well, we'll start driving up there on Sunday, but we probably won't get very far because we'll want to stop to sleep and stuff. So we'll be more Monday. We'll hopefully arrive in Aberdeen. It's a long way. It's about 5-6 hour drive to get up there. So where was I in my story? I came across 3 principles, had a massive change in how I was and how I felt, and and then just began wanting to share it with people, and that's what I've been doing ever since, really. And the people I work with are mostly women who are busy. You know, most of the women I work with are busy. They've got, you know, lots of plates spinning and balls in the air. And they kind of don't need the addition of self-fixing into all of that. So they may not be feeling okay. So maybe this is resonating with you. Then book a call with me and we can talk about how I can help. You're just you're not feeling okay. You want to feel different. You want to be, do, and feel better. I think I quite like that little phrase. And you're trying lots of things. I mean, for me, it was quite scattergun. I was like, I tried a bit of this and then a bit of that, and a bit of that, and some things helped a little bit, but a lot of things didn't really help at all. So, and this understanding is transformational in that regard because it really does help you to get off the self-development hamster wheel and enjoy life with more presence, with more peace of mind, with more calm, of course, because I am the queen of calm, and that's that's only come about through this understanding. It didn't come about through years of meditation, but that was because of the understanding I had about meditation, nothing to do with meditation. It's because I thought it was a means to fix myself rather than being something to enjoy and something that's a pleasure. I think things are more helpful when we understand how it all works and why they're helpful. They become more helpful. Interesting. I've said the word helpful far too many times. So here on Insight Timer, I am a very busy girl. I've now got, tomorrow the 5th course will come out. I've got courses about all sorts of subjects. They're all foundational. They're all 3 principles based. And there's lots of ways to explore this understanding. It's impactful in every single aspect of our lives. But if you want to get started with one, the one that comes out tomorrow morning will be really good for you because it is a foundational, 3 principles course with just the basics in it, really. So please do follow me if you're not following me already, and say hi if you're new. Let me know if you're new here, or if you've been here before. So what else was I going to say? Yeah, check out the link in my bio as well. That's got all sorts of bits and pieces of information about me. So let's talk about forgiveness, because that's what we're here to do. And we're 18 minutes in and I've waffled quite long enough. So I have made some notes today because I really wanted to, I wanted to understand my own kind of perspective on this. So what I like to do often is, first of all, is just research the word and the general. I'm going to sneeze there with. Luckily, I have this little mute button. This little mute button on my mic. that was only a little sneeze in the end, but I do sometimes have a very loud sneeze. Kathy, you love the motorhome. Oh, you're saving up for one. We just love it. Kathy, we're in the process of selling everything, decluttering on an epic scale so that we can live in it more permanently, and then just pot around and see lots of places and work from the van. So back to forgiveness. Hopefully you'll forgive me for waffling. So I looked up forgiveness on the internet and I wrote this down because it says an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. So that, to me, when it says anything that says an intentional decision is really interesting, because where does that intention come from? What is that intention? And how do we build that intention? Like, how do we know that we want to let go of resentment and anger? And why would we decide to do that? Well, for me, it's the fundamentals really of the three principles, in that we're going to let go of it when we realise that that's what's creating our suffering. So let's just, we've all had occasions, haven't we, when somebody has done something or said something or been some way that is not how we would like them to be. Let's just we'll put it nicely like that, shall we? Not how we would like it to be. And we may feel anger and resentment. I think those are actually quite good words, aren't they? Like, for me, resentment, definitely a little bit of, oh my God, are you, like, for me, especially with my ex-husband, still a little bit with Bruce, the sense that they should know better, particularly the people close to us. Why are you still being like that when I've asked you time and time again not to be like that, and I've told you it hurts me, and I've told you it's awful, and so why are you still doing it? And that was pretty much all day, every day, every time I was with my ex-husband, nearly. I know that's not a very positive view of it, but there was a lot of resentment and a lot of anger, on both our parts in the end, really, because I was just so critical. I was super critical. So now, if we think, well, Wendy, interestingly, it used to seem like a problem, and now it doesn't. My ex-husband living next door. I just see it with mild amusement now, but I did at one point have a lot of thinking about it, and therefore experienced a lot of suffering about it, because in actual fact, my ex-husband living next door with his fancy woman is not actually, can't do anything to me, really, unless I think about it. And I've been through various stages of it. Right at the beginning, when I realised, so what happened was, let's just cover this because I think it's actually quite an interesting story in terms of how we can see a situation staying the same, but my experience of it changing. The guy told me to. So when he first moved next door, it was temporary, in my head anyway, because my ex-husband was struggling with the separation. He's on the autistic spectrum, so he struggles with change anyway. And I suggested he rented a room with the guy next door, so that he was near to the children. And then the next stage was, give me my door keys back. That was hard. He didn't like that. But then we split up in the November, and right until Christmas, he used to come for tea every night, and it was like Groundhog Day. It was just the same arguments, even though he wasn't even living in the house anymore. Came to say goodnight to the children, etc. And then I think he was partway through that first year. The guy who he was renting the room from decided to sell the house, and my ex-husband, I think with the help from his parents, managed to buy it. And that was when my head went stir crazy. What the heck? I'm stuck with him there now. He's not, because in my head, I didn't actually share this with him, but in my head, he was going to like move and get a house somewhere else because he'd want somewhere bigger so kids could come more often and all that stuff. But that's not what happened. He bought the house next door. And like Wendy said, I was chatting to a bloke online who I'd met online dating, who's called, his name on online dating was Namaste, which I quite liked. And that's what attracted me to him, actually. And he just one day said, well, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to, like, talk about it. No, you don't have to think about it. And I was just like, what? I don't have to think about it. And I just literally that day just went, oh, I don't. And I then suddenly thought about it a lot less. However, there's been other changes since then. So then Bruce moved in. And of course, Bruce was like, your ex-husband lives next door. That's a bit nutty. And in the meantime, my ex-husband's partner, the woman who was implicated in my marriage breakup, she wasn't very nice to my children. And so we would notice over the fence, and I would just quite frankly, sorry for the language, but I would just bitch about her, and Bruce would join in, and we'd get caught up in these horrible conversations about it, horrible icky, and then I just suddenly wanted to stop that. I realised there was suffering coming from these conversations about her and what she was doing and looking over the fence, and it just wasn't nice. It didn't feel nice, and I'd come across this understanding. So by then I was like, well, I realised that it's not her, it's the way I'm thinking about her, it's the way I'm talking about her, it's how I'm engaging with her all the time. It's not nice. And it doesn't feel nice in me, and none of it's to do with her. It's to do with how I'm thinking about her. So I decided to stop, and Bruce took a little while longer to stop going, yeah, she's doing such and such over the fence, and I just one day to him said, let's just stop it. Let's just stop. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It really doesn't. Let's just leave it. And let's just get on with our lives and living our life from a place of joy and love and happiness that we've got between each other. Their relationship and what they're doing has got nothing to do with us. And it's pretty much been like that ever since. I occasionally have a little moan because his garden is an absolute tip, and he's dug away quite a bit next to our fence. We can't put a new fence in until he fixes his side of the garden. It's been like that for like 4 years, 5 years, way before lockdown. So but only in a kind of, that's my neighbour, I wish they'd sort the fence out so I could put my new fence up or whatever. It's very different. So I don't know if that's even forgiveness or whether it's just letting go. But maybe the two go together. Because the intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. But why would we choose to let go? Well, we choose to let go of anything when we realise it's creating suffering. While ever we think it's the ex-husband living next door with her, or it's what somebody's doing, or it's what they did yesterday or what they did this morning, while ever we think it's that thing that's creating the suffering, we will spend time engaged in thinking about that thing, trying to find some kind of resolution, because human beings are problem-solving creatures. We like to solve problems. So when somebody does something we don't like, then we may well spend a lot of time kind of poking it about. And I'm trying to, I was always like doing the psychoanalysis, why are they doing that? Well, because this, that I would make up in my thinking, nothing to do with their thinking at all. And just going on and on about it and it feeling really awful. But when we realise anything is causing suffering to us, we will stop doing it. And I've never really said it quite like that. That feels quite fresh and new to me. It's like anything. If I pick up a hot pan handle, actually did that last night. I was making pasta and hob in the van makes everything really hot. Go for a hot panhandle. Well, I'm gonna let go. It's burning me straight away because I know, like, it's in the physical realm, isn't it? I know that the panhandle is burning my hand. Now, we don't always know, or we don't always know because we've not been told that's how it works, that the suffering that we feel, the emotional suffering, is coming from inside. And so it's something inside that needs to change, not something outside, which is a real different way of looking at other people and their behaviour. And that is none of this is ever condoning horrible behaviour. I know a lot of you have got difficult relationships and people who aren't treating you perhaps physically well. And there is something here about you must take care of your physical body and keep yourself safe, physically safe. But if somebody's done something and you're still churning it over in your head over and over and over again and feeling terrible, then there is capacity there for you to stop doing that. When you realise that that's where the suffering is. So yeah, Wendy, you agree that forgiveness and letting go, but not forgiveness for them. The forgiveness is for me to be able to let go. Yeah, and I think that the letting go piece is, well, this is how I see it, Wendy. I think that, the notes that I made here, forgiveness, in the three principles, forgiveness is understood as a natural and inherent aspect of human psychological functioning. That it's one of those things that's part of our innate well-being. Because I would say love is, once you let go of the resentment, isn't what's left behind love? Because that's the essence of who we really are, isn't it? So, I noticed that with Bruce because, he's lovely, but sometimes, he does things that I don't like, that seem to irritate me. Or sometimes he gets upset with me and he might speak to me a bit rudely. One of the things he does, which I don't like, is he says something a bit sensitive and then says it's a joke. like, let's take this one. Women, you'll understand this. Like, he'll jokingly say, "Oh, your bum looks big in that." And I'll be like, for a woman in her midlife who is very conscious that weight is creeping onto her body. Well, it's about stable now, but a little bit crept on in the last few years. And, he'll say something, he never has said that, but he'll say something like that. And then I'll like crumple up and look a bit sad. And then say, "Oh, it's a joke, it's a joke." I was just like, and I say to him, "Who's your flipping audience? Everybody here is laughing. There's only me and you here. It's not funny." And so I will get like upset about that, and I'll have a little rant at him and say, and I'll say, what are you thinking of? And I'll get caught up in it a bit. But then at some point I just go, oh, it doesn't matter. I know you don't mean anything by it. I know you love me just as I am, and physically you love me and everything. And then it just stops, and I love him again. Well, I always love him. That connection and that love is underneath, isn't it, all the time? And I think most of us here, when we're looking at forgiveness, we are usually we're talking about people who we've chosen to be in a relationship with, who at some point we fell in love with, or we are still in love with, or we love very much, our children, our partners, our parents, them too. And so the underpinning essence between us and those people, is love. So once we let go of that psychological noise, what's left is love. And in this exploration this month about relationships, that is surely what we're all looking towards, is to feel that deep connection with somebody, to feel love, to experience who we really are. because that is who we are. I said a hair there. Just get rid of it. So for me, forgiveness forgiveness is just love. Forgiveness is like the process of letting go of some psychology that's creating suffering and then just experiencing love. It's a lot less simple, a lot more simple than it might seem. You know, when it says here an intentional decision, the intention there comes from the knowing that it is us thinking about something that somebody did that we didn't like that is creating the suffering. And from that place of knowing, it is like letting go of a hot pan handle or stopping, you know, I haven't got the ruler to hand, it's somewhere in the van. It's here, I think it's in the cupboard. You know, or stopping this habitual thing of hitting myself over the head and creating a headache, creating suffering on this side of my head. We just stop when it makes sense. So let's just explore this a little bit more with some things that I wrote down about this. So I've already been pointing towards innate well-being. To me, the essence of who we are is this innate well-being, that at the core in here, not out there, not in a tool, not in a technique, not in poking around in the past and trying to heal our psychological wounds, which don't exist anyway. You know, it's in here. It's always here. It's never gone away. It can't be damaged. It can't be broken. It's like a diamond. That's at our core. It's who we really are, and it's a constant. And you know, when we think about if we're pointing towards this space of love, which is what occurs when the process of forgiving takes place. If we think about forgiving as a verb, it is a verb, isn't it? Then that is a letting go of whatever it is that's blocking our connection to that innate well-being. And in that innate well-being is love. Because in this process of forgiving, we want to love, don't we? That's it. It's so much less complicated than all the other stuff. I'm sure there are books written about forgiveness. Maybe some of you have read some books about forgiveness, or there are processes you can go through to forgive. You know, like some kind of, I'm sure there's meditations about forgiveness as well. Maybe I'll make one talking about this. So forgiveness really is it's just us letting go and returning back to this natural state of ours, this underpinning well-being, back to the diamond, letting go. And that makes sense once we know that it's inside out, that any discomfort we're experiencing is coming from the inside, not from the outside. It's really simple. I just keep saying that, don't you? How simple it is. When you realise what's hurting you, you will stop doing the thing that's hurting you. And it is never the other person's behaviour that's hurt you. Other people don't make us feel anything. The whole thing works inside out, not outside in. So the other thing to bear in mind as well is that, you know, thoughts, we think about thought in this context, that from, you know, forgiveness from the three principles perspective is also underpinned by the understanding that thought is transient. It's a moving thing. It's not permanent. No thought stays, because another thought comes in seconds, not even seconds later. It's less than a second later, isn't it? As the fact that I'm speaking like this is showing that, isn't it? There's new thoughts coming in, and they're coming out of my mouth at this speed, like over and over again. That is happening. But of course, for us as humans, we do sometimes tend to have a lot of thinking around one subject. It's not the same thought, because it doesn't work that way. Thought is transient. So, all that we might be experiencing, all those negative emotions and grudges and the resentment and anger that we talked about before, are just arising from thought, not from out there. Because how much of the time is it, the thing isn't even happening anymore? The thing's finished. The person is not doing the thing anymore, but we're thinking about it and we're feeling that thinking. And that's what we're experiencing. We're experiencing thought in the moment. And our entire emotional landscape is created by thought in the moment. So when we recognize that our feelings are products of our own thinking, this is again underpinning this concept that they're fluid and changeable, and that when they go, they will take that emotional state with them. And to me, this understanding provides a gateway for it to make sense to let go. If we're talking about, I was looking for my mouse though, it's there, I've not got it out yet. And if we're going to make that intentional decision to let go, we have to see that it is the thinking that we need to let go of. So I often see it like, if we talk about, if you're upset with somebody about something, it's like you're on a train of thought, aren't you? A really quite unpleasant train of thought, possibly. And it's going along at 100 miles an hour, and it can feel very fast. And there's a lot of, if you think about the noise on the train, let's align it with the noise. The noise on the train is like that emotion. And the train's moving really fast and you're feeling really terrible. And it's a train, but it's a train of thought that you're on. Because the thing that happened is in the station 100 miles back. It's like you saw it out the window. And then you're off. And the train of thought is taking you on this, this word up, horrible feeling. Now, what this understanding opens up for us is, every so often your train pulls into a station. Now, for me, that is pausing. And I don't want you to see pausing as a technique, but I would like you to see it as a place to experiment. Just stopping for a minute. Like I'm doing that a lot with Bruce, and as I start to notice I'm getting a bit annoyed with him about something, I stop, take a breath. And it's like in that moment there's this space for a decision. So that's like the train has pulled into the station for a bit, not for very long maybe. And then the guard gets out, and I don't know if I've told you this story before, but I was at the train station once, and the guard gets out. We couldn't quite get, she or he kind of gets out of the train and looks up and down the platform. And I said, "Why do you do that? Are you looking for nutters?" And the guy said, "Yeah, a little bit," he said, "but mostly I'm just looking to make sure the train is on the platform." So he's just opened one door to do that because he has to make sure it's safe for everybody. He gets off in the middle somewhere. That's definitely on the platform. Then he checks the train is on the platform, and then he turns a key in the doorway where he's just come out, and that key lights up all the little buttons down the train on every door, and it's that open door symbol, or it says open, and it lights up, doesn't it? And we can press it and get off the train. And really, that light starts to light up for us and our trains of thought when we see where our suffering is coming from. And we make a decision to just stop it. And the deeper we go into this, and the more we share, the more we stay in this conversation, the deeper we go into that. And the more those little lights come on, and we just go, I'm not going to think about that anymore. I'm done. We get off the train. So I'm just going to pause for a minute on that role of thought. The role of thought. It plays such a role in everything, doesn't it? So, and just say hello, because I can see there's quite a few people coming. It's quite quiet this morning, but it's quite nice. I always think everybody who's supposed to be here is here, in life in general. So let me know, let me know where you are in the world. Oh, somebody I can see. I can't quite see. It's got a lovely picture of the sea in the background. Say hello. Let me know where. If you're by the sea, let me know. If you're anywhere really, let me know. I'll show you where I am. So I'm on the car park at York Racecourse because I go to all the most classy places in my moto, and that's mine. I've got a nice field. Last time I was here, there were lots of rabbits on the field, and I kept getting distracted. I was doing a networking event. I kept getting distracted by the rabbits. It's really good. So that is that's my lovely view today. So let me know if you've got a lovely view. Let me know where in the world that you are. I can see Jenny has just touched Jenny's head now. I'm beginning to recognise. Oh, that's lovely, Wendy. Is that where you're from? Antalya in Turkey, yeah. So are you very close to the sea? That is my ideal, really, is to live near the sea. I love the sea. Absolutely. It's my favourite thing. So, yeah, say hello. Anybody's not said hello, let me know if you're new. If you're new to what I'm sharing today, you'll hear similarities with other things you've perhaps looked at. But I'm sharing from the three principles perspective, or the inside out understanding. And if you are completely new to this, there's a couple of things you can access. I have got a track which is called What Are the Three Principles and Why Do They Bring More Ease to Life? That's a free track. And my course, which is called Sustainable Calm with the Three Principles, is available from tomorrow morning. It's coming out tomorrow morning UK time. I've just had an email this morning to say they've approved it already, and I only uploaded it on Monday, so I'm really pleased. So next month we'll be exploring more around the fundamentals, the fundamental implications of the three principles. Oh, you're in Wales. Oh, you're in Wales in a little cottage. Oh, but you're normally in York. Oh, hello, Helen. so you could have come for a cuppa if you were in. And really funny, Helen. But I will be heading to Wales. I think it's the 11th of September to take my daughter back to uni because she is at Bangor Uni. So we go to Wales quite a bit, to North Wales. So Wales is beautiful, really beautiful. But we will be just literally doing a dash across and a dash back to Wales. So, so there won't be much. Stopping. It'll just be dumping a student's stuff. They have a lot of stuff, don't they? Oh, Betsy Coed is beautiful, Helen. Do you know what, Helen? I actually stayed in a cottage in Betsy Coed. Goodness gracious. I mean, it must be 15 years ago. Jack, my little one, was very little then. Maybe 4 or 5, something like that. So yeah, it's probably 15, 16 years ago I stayed in Betsy Coed. But I have been to visit since then in the motorhome. I haven't stayed there, but we went for a pot around. It's such a lovely little centre, isn't it? It's really pretty. And Wendy, you're not from Turkey. You're travelling on the world the last 11 years. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, that's so lovely. Oh, so you're in a camper van too. How lovely. That's art. That's what. Oh, I'm really jealous now. Wendy, I'd love to hop on a call with you. Not to talk about any of this, talk about camper vans and motorhomes and travelling, because that's what Bruce and I want to do. That's why we're decluttering and practice. We're practicing in the UK, but we need to wait until my fiance's son's a little bit older because he's only 11. We can't really abandon him yet. So, excuse me. So I hope I've got a window of opportunity, like when he's old enough and my children haven't started spitting out their own children, because there'll be a grandma and I want to be around for that. So anyway, we'll find a way of making it work. So yeah, I love travelling motor. Anyway, let's get through the rest of this. So yeah, Helen, how lovely to have you here, and to hear that I'm in your city now and you're in Wales. I'm here till Friday afternoon, and then I'll be around probably around Helmsley, North Yorkshire. Maybe doing the last little. We've got 2 pieces of the Cleveland Way left to do. I don't know if you've done the Cleveland Way, Helen. It's beautiful. But we've got 2 bits of it left to do. One inland and one on the sea. But we might do the inland bit over this weekend. So you're currently in a B&B. Recommend the Cleveland Way, but I'm -3 toenails. So make sure you've got the right protection for your toenails before you do it. Oh, Lilu, is that the name of your camper van? Ours is called Trevor. Our motorhome's called Trevor. Anyway, we could go off. I could do a whole live on let's have fun travelling and living in a motorhome. I could definitely do that. Absolutely love it. Yeah, are you logging your journeys on Instagram or somewhere, Wendy? I'd love to hear about that. So let's talk about compassion and understanding. We've talked about compassion already on one of these sessions, but I think again, it's always seeing what is at the core of I'll message you, Wendy. I think I can find a way to do that, or you can message me. There's a link in my bio. There's something on my link in bio about with Telegram and stuff. So forgiveness. It's seeing really that compassion, understanding, living in the present, freedom and peace. The last few things I want to talk about, they're all at the essence of who we really are. And the only thing ever in the way of that is thought and how much we believe it. And how much where the misunderstanding of where we think our emotions. So our emotions all the time, every single day, and I know this is tricky because it's not what we've been told about how life works, are all coming from the inside out. They do nothing, no emotion you ever experience comes from the outside world. Nor does it come from your past. Nor does it come from the idea that you're broken. Nor does it come from some label that you've been given of mental illness. Thought in the moment creates all your emotions. And sometimes we are thoroughly caught up in our thinking because it is just so persuasive. And so it's like, sometimes it feels like, I don't know about you, but it feels like there's a Steven Spielberg and his entire special effects team and all the best actors all creating a great big scary illusion in my head that looks real. It looks, in the moment when you're in it, it looks so real. But the more we look in this direction, the more we will see that it's an illusion. And that underneath that illusion there is compassion and understanding, there is forgiveness, there is love, there is presence, and there is freedom and peace. And it is back to where is the suffering coming from and what am I going to do about it? And when we realise it's from the inside, there's a lot less to do. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this before I close for today. So forgiveness in the 3 principles framework emerges naturally as we gain insight into the common human experience of thought. When we realise that everyone is subject to the ebb and flow of thought and emotion, it becomes easier to empathise with others and let go of resentment. This understanding fosters compassion and a sense of shared humanity, leading to a more forgiving attitude. So really, I've spoken about this before. I've spoken about separate realities. Everybody's doing the best they can with the thinking that looks true to them. All the time, every day, no matter what people do. And I know people do some rubbishy things. I know they do. But when we start to see other people through the eyes of compassion, when we see, do you know what? They're suffering. That's why they're doing. If somebody's shouting at you, if somebody's being unkind to you, they are in agony in here. And they don't know that that's not coming from you. That's why they're treating you bad. Because they're in a misunderstanding. But the only person who you can take care of in that situation is you. You take care of yourself in the best way you can. And sometimes that will mean, often that will mean letting go of churning something over in your head and trying to understand. Understanding another person is sitting and listening to them and talking to them. There is no ability to understand another person's actions by churning it around in here, because that's your thinking, not theirs. Curious questioning and listening is the way to understand each other. So living in the present, exactly what I've been saying all the way through, in the present, something happens and then that thing is finished and we continue to churn it over, don't we? Over and over and over again. And we create so much suffering through that. But there is choice available when we understand that. So the 3 principles emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment rather than dwelling on past mistakes or grievances. Forgiveness is not about forgetting or condoning harmful actions, but about recognizing that holding on to resentment or anger only perpetuates suffering. By focusing on the present and understanding the impermanent nature of thought, we can release the grip of negative emotions. So much easier than everything else. And so much simpler. It takes a second for we are only ever one thought away from experiencing peace, love and wisdom. There's a lovely Jack Pransky quote that I often share, which is, all we are is peace, love and wisdom, and the ability to create the illusion that we are not. We're good at creating that illusion, aren't we? That's the problem. And so number 5 says, freedom and peace. Forgiveness is ultimately seen as a pathway to personal freedom and inner peace. By understanding that our well-being is innate and our experiences are shaped by our moment-to-moment thinking, we can choose to let go of the past and embrace the present with a lighter heart. This leads to a greater sense of inner harmony and a more positive outlook on life. And one of the things about that just came to mind was, as I've already said a number of times today, this is not about allowing other people to be horrible to us. It's not about allowing mistreatment. It's not about allowing unkindness. None of it's about that at all. It's about it's partly about how do we talk about that. So once we're calm, once we've let go of the awful thinking we've got about something somebody's done, for me, it's still sometimes, sometimes with Bruce, I calm down. He does something, I calm down. And then it still makes sense to say, sweetie, that joke you made about how big my bottom looked? Can I explain my sensitivities around that? I was a fat kid. I think I'm overweight now. Stuff like that just stings a little bit. I can still say, please don't do that. Or if I'm in a really difficult situation, like with my ex-husband, at some point it made sense to say, this is finished. And I remember actually the realization that it was finished just came with a real feeling of calm. And it was really easy to share, to just say, no, he didn't take it so well, but I just knew it was time. So hello, Assam. Welcome. Don't worry too much if you've missed a big chunk of this. There's lots of stuff in the course on relationships about things like this, but also I do screen record it. It goes onto YouTube, and that link is available in the link in my bio on here. And I also produce a little mini podcast, which I don't think it's been released yet, but I think I've uploaded it, so it will come out soon, where you can, it's just a kind of recap. I'm thinking about making these into audios, but they'd be quite faffy to do, so we shall see whether I can be bothered to make them into a longer audio exploration of this. So I hope that's been helpful today. I am going to close in a moment, which is a bit earlier than normal because I have got to walk to meet this lady that I'm meeting this morning, and I haven't packed my handbag or anything. And it was saying on my phone that it was going to be a bit of a brisk walk, I think, to get there. So I do want to set off in a moment and do a bit of a it's saying 31 minutes, so I'm going to have to walk. Let me see. So thank you so much today. I'll just tell you what we've got on Friday. The next session is on Friday, and it is Transforming Criticism to Empowerment at 1:11 p.m. UK time. So I hope I see some of you there. Thank you so much for today. It's been very gentle today, hasn't it? Thank you, Wendy. I hope we get to chat sometime about campervan life. Yeah, and take care, everyone. Lots of love, and I hope to see you again soon. Remember, there's loads of courses and places where you can find out more and learn more about the 3 principles. And please learn it from me or learn it from someone, but please do learn about it because it's totally life-changing. So lots of love. Take care.